Hi everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I have another layout. This is actually, let's see, what are we looking at? This is the 11th layout that I've done with this kit. This is my October stash kit, and I'm getting kind of near the end. I'm kind of running out of things. I have some pattern papers, but it's not a ton. Not enough to be a whole background. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use this white piece of cardstock, and I'm going to use it as the background, and then I'm going to create kind of a geometric pattern on top using all my scraps. And I just pulled out all the different scraps, and I had that little pile right there with the striped paper. Those are actually from a previous kit. I believe it may have been my September or August kit where I had a few scraps left over, and I pulled those out just to see if I could use them. What I just showed you was on Pinterest. I pinned this it's like a photo collage, and they did it in the shape of a heart, and they used square photos. And I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. I could do a background with this, but instead of using photos, because that actually went on there, like it was printed on a canvas, I believe, and you could hang it on your wall. Excuse me, instead of doing that, I'm going to use the pattern papers, and I'm just going to cut squares. And I'm using, I just cut a piece of one to use as a template, and I did it as 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, so they're squares. And I'm pulling out the 6x6 paper pad here to kind of supplement with a couple patterns. I do a bunch of different patterns, and I do about 4 squares out of each pattern, and I think at the end I only had 1 or 2 left over that I just threw in with my scraps. Kind of going through, I'm trying to vary between larger patterns versus smaller patterns. When I start to embellish, I realize that it is quite a bit busy, but I really like how it turned out. Now, this is kind of uncommon for me. I like 97% of the time use pattern paper as my background because I just love pattern paper. This is completely different for me. I would love to do more layouts with the background being just a 12 by 12 sheet of white cardstock, but frankly, I never have a full 12 by 12 sheet of white cardstock. I always use it when I get it, and this I think is even, and this is really bad, but I think this is even I had emptied out some old albums and took all the sheet protectors out of them, like the Post albums. I don't use those. I use like the 3-ring binder type of albums from Becky Higgins or from Recollections at Michael's. And so when I did that, a lot of the page protectors had a white sheet of paper as the background, in the sheet, I can't talk, in the page protectors. And I was like, oh, I can use this. I can definitely pull this out and use it. Just going back to my layout, my heart was looking all wonky. I was trying to do this by memory, and it wasn't working out right. So I ended up switching this around. Just in a second, I get my act together, and I realize what I'm doing wrong. But going back to my story, so I took all the sheet protectors out and took all the white pieces out of that, and I just kind of put it in my stash. Well, that's what this white sheet of cardstock is. It's just one of those, it's not even white cardstock, it was just a white sheet of paper that was in the page protector. So I'm using it as my background here. I really probably should invest in just a pack of, like a 25 pack of white cardstock paper. I mean, it really would make my life easier, but I just haven't done it yet. Maybe that'll be in my haul for next month. Who knows? So I wanted to now that I have all the squares laid out, I was just trying to make sure that the colors in the patterns are distributed evenly. I'm trimming my photo down here. It was a dark photo at night, and so I just wanted to take out some of the background stuff. And I'm going to mat it on a couple different pieces of paper. First, I'm going to mat it on some white paper, and this is actually an old pattern paper on one side that's white on the back side, and I just use it whenever I'm trying to do a white mat around my photo, because that really narrow mat doesn't have to be the best quality paper, and it's a great way to use up some of those old pieces of paper that you might have in your stash, because I don't want to throw anything away until I use it. So that's what this is. And then I'm going to mat it on a piece from the 6x6 paper pad. Now, I'm using my hot glue gun to do this, and I'm just doing a dot in the middle of each square. I wanted it to have a lot of dimension because the background is just the white cardstock. I thought it'd be nice to kind of have these squares, not necessarily flat, but just with a little bit of dimension. So I've sped this up quite a bit, and I'll just continue talking through it, but excuse me. The fun part here is going to come. Actually, this whole layout was really fun. I enjoyed sitting here trying to figure this out. Now, when I was trying to find, I wanted to do some sort of like geometric pattern because I had a lot of scraps and I don't have a lot of punches. If I had a lot of punches, I could very easily just punch a shape out. But I don't really have a lot of punches other than like circles. And I didn't really want to do circles. I wanted to do something different. So I figured I would do squares, and I really thought about cutting them and making them triangles. But I went to Pinterest and I started looking for like quilt patterns because a lot of quilts use geometric patterns. So I started looking for quilt patterns, and I ended up coming across that canvas that was actually photos, square photos that were made into a canvas, which is really a cool idea on its own. It'd be nice to have a big canvas with a bunch of little square photos that make the shape of a heart. That's actually a really cool idea. But I offset my heart here because I knew I wanted to put my photo, and I'm just going to overlap my photo on the bottom right of that heart. And I'm pulling out a couple of ribbons. I'm going to put a small embellishment cluster at the top left, a small one at the bottom right, and it's really just where my title is going to be. And then also a bunch of embellishments on top of the heart. Now it looks a bit busy when I'm starting to do this, but I love the way it turned out. This, I think, is actually my favorite layout, or one of my favorite layouts from this month's kit. I'm very pleased with how many different layouts I got this month, or I made this month. I like the different patterns. I like the different styles. Was completely all over the place, a little bit eclectic, but I love it. I like it when my album, shows a little bit of personality. It's not just the same thing over and over and over again. So I say all that to say I'm really happy with how it turned out. I really like this layout. It's not entirely my idea, of course, because I used it from the canvas photo idea, but I like it. I really do. So I'm just going through the sticker sheets here. I didn't want to add too much dimension since I already had some dimension with the hot glue gun. And I knew I was going to add a lot to this, so I didn't want it to be too heavy. But I'm just going through adding. This is this photo's from a 4th of July, or from 4th of July when we were downtown watching the fireworks, or sitting there waiting for the fireworks to start. And my little boy was so sleepy, and he's just like cheesing it here in this photo, but he was so tired. But it's just so incredibly cute. He's cheesing it so bad his eyes are squinted shut. He's got some cheeks on him. He's got my cheeks, and when you smile, your eyes squint shut. And he was just smiling so big, his eyes were squinted shut. So I made this title, My Super Cute Boy, and I'm trying out a couple different alphas here to see how they look. I didn't like how that Y was going to be kind of up, but I'm going to try it just to see. And it needed to be grounded on something, so I'm just going to use this green satin ribbon. There's a lot of green in the paper that I've used in my heart, so I thought it'd be a nice way to pull that color down here as well. And I'm going to use the boy from this Hello Summer sticker sheet, this alpha sheet. I've actually used up a lot of these. I haven't used up any numbers apparently, but I've used up a lot of the alphas. I need to start figuring out a way to use the numbers. Maybe a way to use it as a background, not sure. And then this, I can't remember. Crap, is it basic gray? I can't remember. One of the paper companies has like a 12 by 12 sheet of alpha stickers and strips. And so I cut those colors apart so I can use them and pull them out when I'm looking for a specific color instead of having to pull out the full 12 by 12. And it also stores a little bit better in my storage thing for alphas. So this is just the yellow that was off of that. So I did the super in the lowercase, the Q in the uppercase, the my in a different sticker alpha, and then the boy in a different one. And for these chipboard elements, that red, you and me, and then the green, live freely, those are chipboard, so I just used the hot glue gun for that because they were not adhesive. I'm going to pop my photo up just slightly to give it a little bit of dimension because I don't want to put hot glue on that. I'm folding my ribbon over the back. I'm really liking how this is looking, and this is kind of where I start looking at, is there anything else I need to do to this layout? I'm going to add a few more small things, and then I'm also going to, thought about adding that frame underneath, and it actually would have worked fine, but I ended up not doing that. I'm going to add this one more small cluster at the top. Just kind of going through trying a bunch of different things. There is no journaling on here because there really wasn't much to say. I've already scrapbooked a couple other photos from the same evening and the same event, so there wasn't a whole lot more to say. I'm going to use up these puffy hearts that you see here on this screen. They were from a Studio Calico kit. I'm just going to spread them around the layout a little bit. And this is where I go, okay, I feel like I'm just... those hearts on the big heart are just too much. So I changed my mind. I pulled them off for a second, and then I'm going to end up, or I haven't pulled them off yet, but I leave them there for a second, but I'm going to shift them around. And this is where I decided to do a small cluster up on the top left. And looking at the completed project now, or the completed layout now versus what I see on the screen, I really am happy I did that. It really makes it look complete. I'm just going to use the green satin one and this red polka dot satin one to overlap. And I'm going to add a tiny bit of washi on the back, and then I'm going to add a tiny bit of journaling that just says love this boy ... and then I'm going to move my hearts. And that pretty much finishes my layout. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Again, this is from my October kit. Take a look at the rest of the videos that I've had posted. I'm going to end up with 12 layouts. This is the 11th one though in the series. So thanks again. Have a good day, guys. Bye.